Hey kids, are you ready for another judgmental screed about how the internet is bad and you should go outside and touch grass? Me too! No, for real, I have a crazy story to tell you and I'm not sure any of you are ready. I sure wasn't ready to remember it. The story that has formed around the millennial generation is fraught. The most monumental shift was that we were the first kids to be raised with the internet. And few people seem to grasp how monumental a change that is in the context of history. We were the first of the indoor kids, more socially connected, but also more reclusive, more educated, but also more sensitive. And running parallel to this story is this twisted parody, this bizarre caricature that can be summed up in two words, simply participation trophies. We were apparently all given participation trophies growing up. I mean, I wasn't, but that's what I've heard. We were coddled and protected from dangerous ideas, the first kids of the internet, yes, resulting in a soft, blubbery generation of whiners who want everything their way. So apropos of nothing, here is a story from when I was 13, and my best friend and I spent our summer vacation alone, in her house, with no adults. Okay, so let me explain. In the United States, we have summer vacation, where you have the whole summer off from school. I had moved from Oregon to Memphis, Tennessee, but my best friend, we'll call her Annie, still lived in Oregon. I was a weird anime kid with no friends, and a mom who honestly just didn't want me around. I was annoying, and with me gone, she could focus on more important things. So when Annie asked if I could come stay for the whole summer, my mom was like, "Hell yeah, you can, I'll pack your bags." There was just one problem. Annie's mom wasn't going to be there because she had taken a teaching job in South Korea. Annie's dad did live in town, he just didn't live there and also didn't have a car or a cell phone, but he assured my mom that he would check in on us sometimes. So just like that, I flew back to Oregon, happy as a clam to be spending my whole summer with my bestie. It wasn't until much later in my 20s that I realized, wow, that really happened. It sounds like the kind of story a baby boomer may wax on about from the 60s or 70s, the nostalgic School of Hard Knocks upbringing that shaped them into bootstrapping adults instead of sensitive babies.
Hello, this is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard. We are presently flying at 39,000 feet on our flight to the year 1998. The time is currently irrelevant, but we should be arriving soon. Your in-flight movie is Encino Man, and as always, thank you for flying Vapor Air.
It's amazing how time can expand and contract in your memory. For me, that summer swelled to feel like years, where other times shrank to just indifferent blips. We beat Final Fantasy VII that summer, and I watched Mulan in theaters 6 times. We pretty much only knew how to use the rice cooker, so when we got hungry, we would just eat plain white rice, and if we got tired of that, we would just go to the Pizza Smizza down the street. How we didn't get scurvy, I truly don't know. But we also walked alone at night. We stayed up drawing until the sun came up. We wrote stories, or tried to. I remember listening to my 1995 Madonna soundtrack for Something to Remember, a movie I had never seen. I had just picked it out at a CD store. And the lyrics were sexual, but in a way I couldn't really process or relate to. Annie and I were in this unsteady space between talking about boys for the first time while still playing with action figures. And just like those boomer stories, it really was a summer that defined me. It did shape me into an even bigger nerd. We spent a lot of that time online too, and saw a lot of things we'll just never unsee. No child left behind indeed. I was sad to go home that summer, but I didn't leave empty-handed, because over the summer, Annie introduced me to a new chat program called ICQ. ICQ, get it? I seek you? Her. ICQ was an instant messaging program that allowed me to have lots of friends. Sort of. I definitely had a lot of people asking me how old I was and if I lived in the tri-state area, but I did eventually meet other anime kids and kids that liked art, and suddenly the world didn't feel so lonely.
This is your captain speaking. This was the most accurate stock footage I could find. Just imagine we're all more pale and have our hands in our sleeves.
After ICQ came LiveJournal, the progenitor of programs like MySpace and later Facebook. So as I sat back in Tennessee, awkward and friendless, my online self flourished, and the offline world gradually dimmed and blurred around me. This was a pivotal moment in history that I lived through without knowing it. It was a moment when the internet scooped us up and closed the door behind us, and I remain there to this day, not entirely by choice. In 2021, it sounds crazy to think that two 13-year-olds lived alone for an entire summer in 1998 with just a 56K modem and a rice cooker. Neither of us had a cell phone either, so if we did need to call her dad, we had to call from a payphone and just pray he was home. Back then, there were still long moments of disconnection, and in contrast, 2021 feels both comforting and claustrophobic. It's like falling asleep with the TV on. You're not truly asleep or fully awake, you're just hypnotized by the comforting hum of familiar noises. I often wonder what it's like to have been born with the internet already fully integrated into their lives. Would those summers we spent alone feel frightening instead of liberating? Would it have felt isolating after a life of constant connection? And I admit, I do worry about younger people. Like, are they gonna be okay? Only time will tell, really. We're all guinea pigs at this point. For people who came of age before that door closed, there's this knee-jerk reaction to go, why don't you just go outside? Our timelines aren't your personal diary, Tyler. Nobody gives a shit what vacuous thought you're thinking at any given time. My God, quit dumping out your purse to the entire world, you terminally online basket case. But go outside to where exactly? For many people, outside is a strip mall, just an endless desert of suburban sprawl. Oh boy, here I come, Applebee's, Verizon Wireless, grocery outlet, Izzy's Pizza, go outside, so you can go to Fuddruckers. More importantly than the question of where is with whom. This appeal, go outside, while well-meaning enough, seems to believe that if you free yourself from the shackles of your devices, that you'll magically be reunited with humanity, the real people, that you'll unplug from the matrix and join the real many thousands of unplugged free-range humans. But you won't. There are no kids outside, and that's why it's so hard to do. Here's the thing. I can say conclusively that being on social media actively harms my mental health. I feel noticeably better if I don't have my phone on me for even a single afternoon, and the constant nagging need for the steady drip of the scroll is addictive and has damaged my memory, my focus, my productivity, and even my self-esteem. It bad. It real bad. I actually remember the exact moment phones became a problem for my friend group. I was sitting in the cafeteria of my high school junior year, just hanging out with my friends. Yes, I did eventually develop social skills, thank you. Someone asked, "Oh, I wonder about X." I don't know much about it. And immediately, 3 different people at the table whipped out their new smartphones to look it up. It was a new phenomena, and it was annoying. Because the thing is, we didn't actually care what year Kim Kardashian was born or when football was invented. It didn't matter. We were just talking. The topic of conversation was incidental. It was the ritual of sitting in the cafeteria and chatting that mattered, and it would come to a grinding halt the moment someone took their phone out. Nowadays, this is a pretty normal sight. We lost that battle hard. People are really dependent on their phones, and if someone takes out their phone, it's best to just ignore it. Since the internet scooped me up, I've allowed myself long walkabouts in the real world. I always come back, mostly because I have to. Please subscribe to my Patreon. What's the real world like? Well, it's slower for one thing. It feels like boredom at first, and then anxiety. Your brain begins to panic without the constant flow of information, and for a moment, there's a deafening silence. But as your brain acclimates to a natural rhythm, it becomes peaceful. And then it's like finally stepping off a treadmill. And and relief finally comes. Once you're out, you really do see how weird it all is, like just staring at a screen for hours while my body atrophies, hurting my eyes, ruining my sleep, and it seems obvious that the answer is to leave. But to leave the internet is to leave a culture. To anyone born after 1995, they're not just dropping a bad habit, it's immigration. It's disconnecting from everything and everyone you know to start a new life on a different plane of existence. And like anyone who's ever immigrated can tell you, you miss out on cultural trends while you're gone. When you come home, it can be a painful shock to see how much has changed. The online world isn't just a fun distraction anymore. For many, it is the world. It's civilization in your pocket. So should you leave? Oh, absolutely. Like, you would not believe the improvement to your mental health. It's unreal. Serotonin for days. But it's foolish for older people to frame it as if it's an easy thing to do. You don't stop the internet the way you stop biting your nails. You leave the internet. And for those of a certain generation, that's home. As for me, I wouldn't have had those formative experiences that strange summer of '98 if I hadn't had Annie with me. So if you're going to go traverse the wastelands of the real, I recommend inviting a friend along or two. Until next time, team.
This is your captain speaking. We very much hope you enjoyed your flight with us today, and if you would like to see more of our services, please consider subscribing to us on patreon.com/Magdalen Rose upon your departure. Again, we hope you enjoyed your flight, and we'll see you next time.